Awesome. Hello and happy Thursday. Welcome to another Lunch and Learn with Purse Strings. If anyone's new here, my name is Maggie, and we're all about helping women be financially fearless. We do this through bringing on professionals, giving tips, tricks, pieces of advice on how to be financially fearless. And then when you're, looking for a coach, planning for retirement, need that will and trust, whatever it may be, we have top tier financial professionals willing, ready, and able to serve you. One of those, or we call those professionals, are Purse Strings approved professionals, and Judy Hoberman is one of them. And we're so excited to have her on today to share her kind of business expertise and really talking about this balance of women business owners and just living our everyday life as a woman, as a mom, as a friend, different things like that. So I'm very excited for this conversation. But before we dive into all of that, Judy, could you give us a little intro of who you are and what you do?
I would be happy to, and thank you for having me. So I'm Judy
Yeah.
Hoberman. I'm president of Judy Hoberman and Associates. My company is one that empowers executive women in sales and leadership. What I do is I give them the tools that they need to elevate their personal brand, amplify their voice, and able to lead with confidence. And my mission has always been to help one woman a day using a very important philosophy, which is my tagline as well. Women want to be treated equally, not identically. So
I
that's me.
love that.
Yeah.
Yeah. One woman a day. How do you track that?
Because whenever I say it, there's always a woman that says, "Can I be your woman?"
Ex-
Just it's exactly how it happens. If I'm on
I love
live or
that.
if I'm on the radio, someone will call me or text me and say, "Can I be your woman today?" And it's very humbling to me because you know as well as I do, women don't like to ask for help all the time. So when you're raising your hand, that's just another way to do it.
I love it. That's amazing. I already have goosebumps. So, but if anyone's tuning in live and has any questions along the way, please throw them in the chat. We're happy to get to those. If you're watching the replay, you can also put them in the comments, and we'll come back around to those.
Mhm.
But to kind of dive in here, what does it mean to really even lead with confidence? How do you kind of put that into execution?
So confidence is, I always say it's the best outfit that you can put on because what it means is that you're comfortable in your own skin. And a lot of times we're put into positions where we're not comfortable and then you have to fake it till you make it. And I don't like that part of it. What I like to do is I like to switch your mindset. I always try to say, okay, so what is going to happen next? I visualize it. And so I'm able to go in and say, okay, take a deep breath and just move forward. You don't have to be the expert, you don't have to be perfect, you just have to be able to show up in a way that other people look at you and say, that's the person I need to talk to, I need to surround myself with. So confidence
Mhm.
is something that you can definitely learn, but it's more important to change your mindset about the things instead of trying to do something you are in the process of, things like
Mhm.
that.
I love that. And there's really nothing more confident than almost admitting that you don't know or you need help. Especially kind of, and I feel like in a woman's world, there's nothing more confidence than showing, hey, I could use a hand, or I could use some assistance here. And just, I don't know, what's your expertise that you bring?
Okay, remember it's one woman a day. So right then and there, it's showing confident if you say, "Okay, I could really use your help. Like, can I be your woman that day?" That's how you do it. I mean, that's as
Yeah,
simple as it is. You don't have to say, "Oh my God, I'm struggling." You can just say, "Can you show me how to do this?"
I love that. Yeah, totally, totally. And so, another thing that kind of on the flip side of confidence is kind of that imposter syndrome,
Mm.
which is so common with women, especially. Why do so many women feel this imposter syndrome?
Okay, if I had that answer, we could just close this whole thing. It would be a mic drop because
Yeah, I would
nobody,
love,
yeah,
I would love the
no,
answer.
yeah, nobody really knows why women have it, but it's something that you feel like you're not ready for. You don't really know what's going to happen. And you put yourself, you're like comparing yourself, your chapter one to someone else's chapter 20. And that's the hard part to do it. But no matter where you are in business or in life, it creeps in at the most inopportune time. And I mean,
Yeah.
but it happens to all of us. And when you say to somebody, "Oh, I just felt like an imposter," like, really, you? And I mean, I'll give you a perfect example. Somebody had asked me to be on a live stream, and I immediately said yes because I really wanted to do this until I got home and I looked to see who else was on the scoreboard. And I
Mm,
immediately said, I can't do this to myself. I said, I can't do this. I'm not well known enough. I'm not this enough. I'm whatever, not tall enough, whatever enough you want to say. And so I always have two coaches, male and female, because I need both perspectives. So I called my female coach first, and she said all the things you want to hear. You know, you're awesome and this and that, and we love you, and people, blah, 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 blah. And I thought, okay, good. Not what I needed, really not what I needed. So I called my male coach, and he said to me, did you ask to be on it or did they ask you? I said, they asked me. And he said, okay, so you've got a great message and you know that people want to hear what you have to say. So put on your big girl panties and get yourself over there. And I did. And it was
Yeah.
awesome. But the truth of the matter is, I was really feeling like I didn't deserve to be there. That's part of the imposter syndrome. You're not worth it. You don't deserve it. And we get it because we're not comfortable a lot of times. We don't know what our strengths are. We don't recognize that our strengths are some of the things that people would love to have, but we take it for granted. So
Yeah.
I can't tell you why it happens. It does happen. And, you know, I've got millions of examples from millions of important women, and they feel it as well.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I felt it as well too, but I love that point that he brought up that they invited you to this,
Yeah. Yeah.
and it's funny how you say yes and you felt confident until you knew who else was going to be there.
Right.
And it just, but I'm sure, you put on your big girl panties, you do it. And once you're done, you're like, that's what I was worried about.
Right. Exactly.
I have
What was
done
that?
1,000 lives. Like, why
Right.
was I worried about that one?
Right. But when you visualize what it looks like when you're done, like look backwards, you know, when you can see that, like I can actually see some of the things that I'm going to be doing. And I know exactly who's in the room or who's on stage, whatever. When you visualize being done and looking back, you realize, what was I nervous about? But you have
Right.
to get there.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. And we have Eric Blake jumping in saying, he's here to learn, but say hi because both of us are awesome. So
Hello,
hello,
Eric.
Eric. We're happy to have you here.
Yep.
But we 1,600 women open new businesses every day, which is amazing.
Yeah.
So clearly women are stepping out and making moves. So what can women do to kind of feel more confidence in the work that they do?
So first, I would say really know what your strengths are and put yourself into situations where you can actually utilize them. Don't concentrate on the weakness, concentrate on the strengths first and foremost. Then, like many of us do, myself included, give yourself a pep talk if you need that extra bit of confidence. What is it that you're looking to do? What do you want to accomplish? And give yourself that talk and say, you've got this, and just go and do it. And then don't let, other people give you that idea of what it means to be perfect. First of all, perfection is absolutely boring. It is. I'm a recovering perfectionist. And people end up resenting you because you think you've got it all going on. My siblings, they used to say to me, God, we hate you so much because you're always so perfect. But what happens when you try to be perfect, especially in a business? You can't be perfect. You have to be able to learn. And if you're perfect, what's the only direction you can go in? It would be down. So don't try to let other people tell you what they think. And my most important thing is, actually, there's two. One is ask questions. Don't be afraid to ask questions because you can't know everything. There are other people that are the experts. So ask people, how would I be able to do this? Or, can you show me how? But most of all, decide why you're doing this. Like,
Yeah.
how do you make a difference? How are you impactful? Just find out like what it is that you want to do and then take the steps. And don't do it alone. You don't have to be alone to do this. In business, you
Right.
shouldn't be alone.
Right, right. You need that team, you need that support, and to know that, you're growing too. And I think as becoming a business owner, there's so many things where, I might be a perfect chef, a perfect mom, a perfect chauffeur, all these different things, a perfect sister. But when it comes to business, I'm brand new at that. And
That's
so
right.
it's like you have to know when to cut yourself slack because you've never done it before. You might be 55, but you've just never done it. And so you have to go back to that, we're learning, we're getting started, we're getting immersed into it. We have to ask the questions because we can't know everything in all areas of life.
But if you think you know everything, that's a problem. If
True.
you know what they say, if you're the smartest person in the room, you're in the wrong room.
That's very true.
You really have to be open for other people to give you their experiences. And it doesn't mean, if somebody's asking you for your experience and your expertise, it doesn't mean you do a brain dump. It means that you let them know what you know, how you know it, or whatever. But a lot of people are so worried about, look, I got to tell them everything. Let me tell them everything at once. And in business, that's really bad because the business is not about you, it's about your client. So you have to
Yeah,
make sure that you're listening to them. Ask questions, listen. Ask questions, listen.
it's great. That's great advice right there. It's always about good questions, and having the right questions to ask.
And I've been dubbed the question queen, so I have more questions than you could possibly imagine.
Yeah, that's kind of how it is with my mom too. She's always like, I have 18 questions. And I'm like, here we go. Here's the
That's right.
list.
Yeah,
But,
and the eyes roll. Yeah, I get it.
yeah, but
Yeah,
it happens, and they're great
yeah,
questions. And I turn out learning a lot more than I thought I would as well, or information that I didn't know I needed that
yeah.
now I have. And I was like, wow, this is different.
hmm Yep.
And so when we were kind of talking about this conversation, you brought up this point of kind of this elusive balance. So why do you think there's no such thing as balance for women?
Okay, I don't think there's balance for anybody, so it's not just
That's
women. Okay,
okay, fair.
it's time to really bust the myth. There is no such thing as work-life balance. We all know that it doesn't exist, but instead people are trying to say, well, I'm going to work 50% and I'm going to be home 50%. Doesn't work. You have to give 100% wherever you are. I say that instead of talking about balance all the time, because okay, let's pretend I'm a mom. I am a mom, but let's pretend I have little children, okay,
Right.
and I'm at work and I get a call from the school nurse that says my child got hurt on the swings or the whatever. Now, there's only two options. You can haul and get there immediately, or you can
Right.
say, I'm at my balance on my work time right now. So can you wait till 3 o'clock? I mean, you can't do that. So I always say you have to find harmony. Wherever you are, you have to be present. Okay,
Hmm.
so with you right now, Maggie, I am 100% present. I have nothing else going on. I'm not, answering calls. I'm not doing something on my computer. I'm 100% present. So right now, I am in harmony.
Hmm.
Okay, when I'm working, I'm in harmony. With a client, I'm in harmony. When I'm home, I'm in harmony. To me, that's great balance. That's really what it should be. And when you can figure out how to be present, like we're not allowed, my rule, because I'm the boss of me, not allowed to have any kind of technology at the dinner table. I don't care who you are, and I don't care how old you are. My kids are grown. I mean, and I still say no technology because to me, even if it's 15 minutes, you're present. And
Hmm.
that's balance because there isn't, I mean, truly, there is no such thing as balance.
And it's so different of I am physically here versus I am mentally here,
Yeah.
and with that 50-50 balance, let's say from your example, the whole time till 3 o'clock, I'd be thinking about my kid. Is their arm okay? What are you going to do? I am not actually at work anymore. I physically am, but I am mentally am not there.
That's right.
Um, and so I really like that about, being present, being where you're at. And I know that takes a lot of work to start becoming present, do you have any tips of like how you work to be more present every time? I know technology is a huge barrier to that with every ding and notification and things like that.
You can turn those off. I mean, there is such a thing as turning off notifications. I'm just
Hmm.
saying. I mean, a lot of people don't know that's true because I have no notifications on ever. I don't care.
Wow.
Yeah, I don't do that. I mean, I always have an alarm set like 5 minutes before I'm supposed to be doing something to make sure, but I don't care about what somebody's eating. And I don't.
Yeah.
So to me, it's all about priorities. So maybe it isn't time management that we have to worry about. Maybe it's managing ourselves. So
Hmm.
here's some of the things. Now, here's what I do. And I want to just say, I would never ask you to do something that I wouldn't do. So this is how I prioritize everything. I make a list of everything that I'm doing personally for my business, my personal life, anything that my hands are touching. And then I circle the things that only I can do and I
Hmm.
delegate the rest. So there's opportunities to move towards balance because I only need to do this and everything else I'm giving away. And so as it gets you to start thinking, I go back to that list again and then I prioritize it.
Mm.
So I have ways to say, okay, so this is the most important thing, or this is due first, or whatever it is. But that's my list. Everything else that was on that list that my hands are touching, I can give it to somebody else. And so
Right.
that's how you manage your time better. Again, it's not balance, it's just managing yourself. And that's what I think is the greatest gift is that you learn how to do that.
I love that kind of idea of writing them all down and circling it. And I feel like, you've also have great experience or knowledge now of knowing how to delegate, because at first delegating is hard to do because you don't know what to delegate,
Yeah.
who to delegate, how to communicate that. And so once you kind of sharpen that skill, I'm sure then this process is much easier for you of just circling and delegating. Um, but even strengthening that muscle of just delegation, I know sometimes is like shame that I should be doing it all, which you shouldn't be. But that's a hard thing, but I love that because it's so important, because we can't do it all.
No, and you shouldn't do it all. But I have to say, for me, delegation is very hard. I like to do things the way I like to have them done. But if you're very close-minded, then nothing gets done at all. And I remember, thinking that I used to have a bunch of trainers that I worked with, and one of them got sick. So we pulled another trainer in, and he was doing things totally differently than what we were expecting, like totally. And so I'm there taking notes and I'm writing it down because I'm going to have this conversation with him. And after a few minutes, I just stopped and I started to listen. And he was actually funny and he was getting the point across, the same point, just in a different way. And then I had to apologize first to myself and say, you missed like the first 20 minutes of it because you were so busy saying he was wrong. And I apologized to him. He didn't even know I did that. But I said, I just have to say, I prejudged what you were going to be doing. And to me, and we started using some of the ways that he was doing it. So you have to be able to say, I'm going to delegate this, and then I'm just going to I'm going to empower somebody to just do it.
Yeah. And if they come back with it almost better than you could imagine, awesome.
Or equally done. I mean, it's done.
Yeah.
The results are the same. Let's put it that way.
Exactly. Oh, I love that. That is awesome. But you're right. Yeah. Balance, elusive balance. There's no such thing as balance.
Thank you. Thank you. Got another one.
Yep.
Another convert.
And so then, we know women are the safety net for everything. When, home, caregiving, cooking, cleaning, you name it. So what are some tips you would have to kind of lead with confidence and create balance? I guess we did kind of just talk about some of these things. Do you have any other tips that you'd want to share?
I would, what we said really makes sense for me because that's basically what I do.
Yeah.
I do also make sure that when I'm in a situation where I don't feel confident or I'm out of balance or out of harmony or whatever, I try to go back and revisit it and say, okay, so what was happening and why did I put myself in that situation? Mm-hmm. Because sometimes we end up saying yes to things that we shouldn't be saying yes to. And, like a lot of times I'll say yes to something. And then when that day comes, I'm like, why did I say yes? I didn't really want to be doing this. So I'm very careful and I'm very intentional about what I do now. I really make sure that when I say yes to something, I really mean yes. And when I'm not comfortable with something, I learn why I'm not comfortable. Now, that doesn't mean that I do everything right, because I don't. And people can say I don't. But I want to be confident when I walk into a room. I want to be confident when I'm going to a meeting. I'm an introvert. So when I have to walk into a room of people that I don't know, it makes me freeze, like really makes me freeze. So I have to talk to myself and just say, there's somebody in there that really wants to meet you and blah, 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 blah. And it sounds ridiculous, but, a lot of times what I end up doing, Maggie, is I end up going first. I get there early. So people walk up to me first and then I don't have
to. That's a great tip because because then you don't walk into a room of 50 people, you walk in when there's only 10.
Right.
Or whatever
you walk in, you're 20 minutes early and you're the first. And then they walk up to you, go, hi, my name is so-and-so. What do you, so that makes me feel more comfortable and more confident.
I love that. Yeah. It's almost kind of that leg up. So when people come in, you're that welcoming committee, you're the one who's bringing them in, which is also a great connection because, when you go to any of those events, everyone in the room is first kind of like, okay, to have someone come up already and welcome you, amazing. And that really sticks.
And I do it all the time.
All right. We'll have to get networking together in person.
That's right.
This has been a ton of great information already, Judy. Is there anything that we haven't hit on that you want to make sure is shared with our community of women today?
I would say that, there's some rules that I live by that, it might just help somebody else. It could be tips or strategies or whatever you want to call them. But the first one, like I said, I am a recovering perfectionist. So my very first rule is to understand that no one's perfect. That's why pencils have erasers, but you want to be imperfectly perfect if that's how you need to be it. But that's the first thing that you have to understand. The second thing is you have to know how to say no. And just say, I'm already committed, or however you want to say it, but it's absolutely necessary for you to say no, because when you say yes to everything, you're saying no to something that is very important that will come up. You can't be a super person. The third thing is when I said about questions, listen, 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 listen. And then when you think you've listened enough, listen some more, because you want to hear what this other person is talking about, because you're going to hear some things that if you weren't listening, you're going to miss. The fourth one is like, it's okay to ask for help. It's not a sign of weakness. It's, being strong, being confident. That's what it is. But most importantly, and you do this every day, is support other women.
Yeah.
We've all heard, stories about mean women and the mean girls and whatever else. And that's okay. If they want to act like 12-year-olds, that's fine. You move along. But truthfully, confident women, they support each other, and they're they have each other's back, and they're not intimidated or threatened or anything else by somebody that's strong and confident. So that's who you want to surround yourself with.
Those are all great pieces of advice. One of them reminds me of, if you've ever read the book Year of Yes, with Rhonda Sherwin, which was great. And it would kind of get to the point of anything that you are saying no to as well, you're saying yes to something else.
Absolutely.
And always that divide. I know in her example, it was kind of weight loss. If you're not losing the weight, then you're saying yes to being heavy and whatever that comes with, being taking care of your kids and the life expectancy, whatever.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
But yeah, you have to know and be empowered with these other women, because there's so many amazing women out there. Just bring up another chair to the table. That's always what I'm about here. There's not one chair. You bring your chair. We'll build you a chair, whatever it takes.
Or bring the table.
Yeah, whatever you need, we'll make it happen. And so how can you help business owners? What kind of coaching do you do to kind of help business owners or companies kind of grow?
So I do a lot of executive coaching, which is different than life coaching, but that's not to say we don't ever talk about personal, because we do, because you can't separate the two. Remember, no balance.
There's no balance.
Right. So I do a lot of executive coaching. I also do training in leadership and in sales. And you can't be a leader without selling, because you're always selling yourself. And you can't be in sales unless you lead, because you're always leading yourself. So I also do that. And, there's a lot of opportunities for people to learn and to get to the next level, that whatever that means, to be successful, whatever that definition is for you.
I love that. And yeah, I mean, we are all about having a coach, whether that be, whatever your focus is at that time, a life coach, an executive coach, a business coach. But then, I always love to see how you even mentioned that you have two coaches.
Yeah.
And how every coach has their own coach. They're always growing, they're always learning, because as we know, we're not perfect. And so how do we keep growing and help others as we move up that ladder?
Absolutely. And, elite athletes have coaches.
Yeah.
So what's wrong with it? I think people relate that to having somebody, like when you used to be afraid to say, I'm going to therapy, there are people that don't want to say they have a coach, because they think it sounds like they don't know what they're talking about. In reality, it means, excuse me, they do know what they're talking about. They just want to be able to, say it differently or change the words or whatever it is. So I think everybody should have a coach.
Mine's always like, I have 50,000 thoughts. How do we get them straight and make them executed? Got all these great ideas. How do we?
Yeah. But you also have to listen to your coach.
What?
You have to listen to your coach.
I know. We do.
And no, I mean, I was a perfect example when I didn't. And then she, called me out on it.
And that's what you pay her for.
But I was horrified that I actually disrespected her. That's how I felt when she said that. And I'm like, no. So
it's like letting a parent down almost, like they really expected something of me and they want to see me grow, which is amazing.
Yeah.
Well, I appreciate you coming on here, Judy, and giving your expertise, because I know you are a wealth of knowledge and inspiring, at least one woman every day, which I always love. So if anyone has any questions, please reach out to Judy. Her emails have been going through the bottom, judy@sellinginAskirt.com. Is there any other place that you'd like people to reach out to you at?
Usually LinkedIn is probably the best place for me, because I always check everything there, and I'm pretty active on LinkedIn. I'm active everywhere, but pretty active on LinkedIn. So there's lots of things that we, put out there to download and give away. So just never know what's out there.
I know. And you guys had a great Women's Day event too. So Judy always has, something coming up that's helping so many women. So at least just give her a follow.
Absolutely.
And remember, she's one of our Purse Strings Approved professionals. So you can reach out to her off our site, pursestrings.co. So thank you again, Judy, for sharing your expertise today and helping all these women be financially fearless.
Thank you so much for the opportunity.
Yeah, we'll talk to everyone again next week. All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.